Just thought I was going to talk loud. So I appreciate your being here, and those who have served our country and are still serving our country. Thank you for joining us in the back there, and appreciate that. Particularly Merle, we worked together and played softball together starting 30 years ago. So good to see him again. I appreciate him. Doug Lay, thank you for the work you do for the Franklin County Veterans Service Commission. This is it's one of those federal, local agencies that is not probably as well known as it should be, and does such terrific work serving our veterans. And many of the people that work here are veterans, and certainly all understand the issues that are so important. Laura Pachitis in our office, who's right behind Helen, is in our Cleveland office and has done particularly outstanding work with everything from helping speed up claims when people like Robert get pushed around far too much than they should have, from the VA, to helping men and women get their medals who hadn't deserved them and worked for them but didn't really know that they were out there, and helping them with that. And Robert Vermont, who's a Vietnam vet who will speak in a few minutes. We know the problem with what's happened with the backlog, and far too many veterans are waiting far too long for their to have their disability claim processed. We know that the VA is doing better. We've put more money, while most of the federal government's budgets have been cut. The VA's budget has gone up. They've hired more people. They've trained more people. It's still not good enough. The backlog's been reduced by 120,000 claims, 120,000 human beings, 120,000 veterans over the last several months, but there's still 490,000 veterans waiting we think at least 6 months for their claim. Part of the reason for that is that while the VA has processed 1.1 million claims in the last year, there have been 1.2 million new claims filed. The reason for that is a huge number of people returning from Iraq and Afghanistan that suffered some kind of physical or mental damage during those wars, and because of more people filing, for instance, from the Vietnam era, because of Agent Orange presumptive eligibility, where anybody that was in Vietnam at all are presumed, if having certain illnesses, presumed to have been affected by Agent Orange, which is our obligation as a nation to deal with them. General Shinseki, whom I meet with probably quarterly, as the only one Ohio ever to serve a full term of the Senate Veterans Committee, I talk to General Shinseki, Secretary Shinseki, regularly. He has pledged by 2015 to eliminate the backlog. We're working with him so that he can. A couple of pieces of legislation that are important in this. One is the Claims Processing Improvement Act of 2013, which sets benchmarks and standards and regular oversight to make sure the VA is getting where it needs to get on cleaning up and on processing these claims. Second, my legislation, the Veterans Service Outreach Act, which, when you file electronically, sends you or suggests that you go to local veterans organizations, to the DAV, to the VFW, to the Legion, to the Polish American veterans, to the paralyzed vets, to the Vietnam vets, to any one of the veterans organizations who have people who have worked on these claims before. A veteran filling out a claim often doesn't know precisely how to do it because it's the first one she or he's ever done, the only one. But working with the local Legion or the local DAV or the local VFW will help that veteran, because they can both help them fill it out and then be an advocate for them with the VA. My office also, Laura and others, advocate one at a time for veterans. We'll continue doing that, but this system needs to be fixed, and that's really what Mr. Lay's doing and what Robert's doing when he tells his story. So start with Doug Lay, Director, and then Robert will later from you.
Thank you, Senator. I'm Doug Lay, Director of Veterans Services Commission from Rankin-Clans. We applaud what the Senator is doing, as long as all of our elected officials, trying to encourage uniformity and speediness in determining veterans' claims. He mentioned the various veteran service organizations who are intimately involved in processing claims, but Ohio has a real robust Veteran Service Commission network throughout every county. And we encourage each veteran or their dependent to come in and talk about their benefits As Senator said, that me as a veteran might go online and sign up, apply for benefits. I can tell you that if you say that I hurt my knee in the military and you only put down your knee, that's all the VA is going to adjudicate and make a determination upon. However, there may be secondary conditions that may be attributable to that primary. And if you don't tell the VA that my back hurt, my other leg hurts, my hips hurt and such, the VA will not determine that. So that's why I encourage veterans, all veterans and dependents to, at least in Ohio, come to your local county veteran service office to apply for the benefits, because the service officers are trained to ask the questions so you get your full benefit and not piecemeal the process. Anything the federal government can do with the Department of Veterans Affairs and training, and I know the government typically throws money things, but sometimes let's make sure we get the thing right. And whatever the government can do, along with Senator Brown and his initiative, we fully support and hope it works quickly and promptly for the veterans, not only in Franklin County, but across America. Thank you, Senator.
Doug is this is one of 88 county veteran services commissions. Not nearly every state has what Ohio has. They're locally, I think state money too, right? Locally and state funded. Just local funding. But Ohio has said it's not unique. There are other states, some states that do, but Ohio has one of these commissions in every single county, and people should use them. Particularly people come back from overseas, and the Veteran Service Commission doesn't, because the Department of Defense doesn't communicate with local veterans organizations. The commission or local organizations, people don't know. The VSCs in most state in county after county doesn't know that that veteran is home. Robert Vermont has been an activist for his community for a number of years. As a veteran, will tell his story. Robert, thank you for joining us.
Yes, I first applied for compensation for diabetes because of Agent Orange in February of, it'd been in 08, I think it was, but it took the VA over a year before they finally settled with me, and I'd call them, and they finally got real antsy with me, and that's when I went through Senator Brown's office with a lady down there, and they got real friendly after that, realizing that I had people who was going to fight for me, and they was going to be able to push me around. But the VA to me, they just don't want to help the veterans. They want to fight you more than they want to help us. Thank you.
Sir, I'm sorry. Can we leave your name and spell it, please? Can we leave your name and spell it, please, sir?
Pardon?
Leave your name and spell it, please. Can we leave your name and spell it for us, please?
Robert Vermaten, last name spelled Vermaten.
Where do you live, Robert?
Grove City.
Thank you, sir. Appreciate it.
Welcome.
We can do individual interviews, or if you want to do general questions, you want to do. Okay. Just do individual stuff. Any other interviews? Okay. No.
How old are you? When were you in Vietnam?
Which time, sir? The first time, the second time? Spent 3 years, 4 months, 7 days over there. The second tour was when I got the diabetes, when I was in the Mekong Delta work. We used Agent Orange real freely to try and kill the shrubbery down there. And that would have been 1971, 72.
And graduate service?
United States Army.
And how old are you?
Pardon?
How old are you?
I will be 66 at the point of this month.
Happy birthday.
Thank you, sir.
I have a question with regard to veteran service related issues. A friend of mine is a major, retired from the Marine Corps, and he said, what I try to tell veterans is, just because you've been exposed to Agent Orange and you're not saying you have a disability, he said, I got to process your claim, but you're wasting our time. And I would like to see the Veteran Service Commission tell people that just because you've been exposed to something, that there's no disability, you're not going to get any benefits. And he said that's the strongest message I could give. Part of this backlog problem, he says, people have no right to claim benefit when they don't claim a disability.
Mine was documented with the paperwork from my doctor who treated me for diabetes. And that states in the computer, if you read about Agent Orange, that diabetes is one disease that was caused by Agent Orange. And if you have diabetes, the VA had no repercussion against you to force you to prove that you got diabetes from Vietnam.
And to make clear on presumptive eligibility, if any soldier, any Marine, any Navy, any seaman or woman or anyone set foot in Vietnam, they are presumed, if they have a disability, as you point out, if they claim a disability, they are presumed eligible because of an act of Congress. There were far too many veterans that had to fight on, well, this is connected to Agent Orange, and the VA would say, we're not so sure. Well, we are saying under law that if you have one of the designated disabilities, including heart disease and some kinds of cancers and diabetes, and you were in Vietnam even for a day, that you are eligible for that disability because of potential exposure to Agent Orange. Too many veterans fought for too many years to get that okay on their disability claim because it's hard to connect, but the presumptive eligibility is now law. That was my take.
Question for Senator Brown. Have you spoken with Rob Portman about this? Is he going to sign on to it? And more importantly, have you had any indication that any of these two bills are going to gain any traction in the House of Representatives?
Well, a couple of things. I've not talked to Rob about it yet. I talk to him regularly. We're working with other members, first of the Senate Veterans Committee, to get their support on it. What this has done, particularly my legislation, the other is Chairman Sanders' bill, the accountability for disability for processing the claims. Ours is to enlist more and more local veteran service organizations, the Legion and the VFW and DMVets and DAV and all, to make sure that they are involved. And we're talking to the VA to get them to reach out, and more veterans organizations are doing that to help veterans. So we don't know if the legislation will become law. We do know that the VA will begin more and more to follow what we want them to do with this legislation anyway. And I think that with or without the passage of it, it's already having an impact and will continue to.
If somebody does qualify for benefits, how are they paid? Are they paid as a lump sum or a monthly basis? How does that work?
Once the claim has been adjudicated in favor of the veteran then receives monthly payments. I think they're doing mostly direct deposit, but they also have little credit card type debit cards. So that goes monthly directly to the veteran. It is tax-free to the veteran, so they don't have to worry about paying income tax. The other side of the coin is that we're looking at Franklin County last year, just on compensation and pension benefits to veterans and their dependents within our county. There was $129 million coming back to veterans here, which in turn means that $129 million is being utilized within the community with sales tax and purchases and things like that. So,
do you have any idea what kind of range of monthly payment people can get?
I believe if you're a 10% rated veteran, it's about $125 a month. If you're 100%, it's around $2,800 per month. And there's some other, should you have lost a leg or other appendage or something like that, I think there's some additional compensation for that.
Can you say, sir,
Sir, I got, when they finally settled with me, they gave me a 20% disability and give me $255 a month.
Thank you all. Thanks for doing